Good evening, I'm Krystalle Ramlakhan. Your local news starts right now.
I did what I did to offer a perspective that I hear from a lot of constituents and is supported by the data.
A PC MPP is out of caucus after challenging Doug Ford to end the lockdown. In a letter posted on Twitter this morning, we'll have the latest on the politics of the pandemic in Ontario. Many parts of the country are seeing a significant increase in COVID-19 cases, and the road toward ramping up vaccination is now expected to get more bumpy. But that's not the worst of it. Public health officials are urging everyone to help reduce the spread as new modeling data paints a bleak picture. David Cochran has the details. Some good news tonight from Ottawa's Mayor Jim Watson tweeted today that every long-term care facility in the city has completed its first round of vaccinations. The work was done by staff from Ottawa Paramedics, Ottawa Public Health, and the Ottawa Hospital. And Dr. Vera Etches gave CBC an update on how the vaccinations went and what the next step for the vaccination program is in Ottawa.
We actually ran out of...
A devastating new record in Ontario as the province records the deaths of 100 people from COVID, the most of any single day, but the ministry says the numbers are the result of catching up to some previous data, also just under 3,000 new cases in the province. In Ottawa, 148 new cases and 4 new deaths today. The 7-day average in the number of cases has dropped by 6 and sits at 141.7. Test positivity is also down from 4.5% to 4.1%. There are 38 new cases in the Outaouais, and over 15,000 vaccines were given out since yesterday in Ontario for a total of nearly 175,000 in total. A progressive Conservative MPP who called for an end to Ontario's lockdown has been booted from caucus. Roman Baber made the plea in an open letter to the Premier, but the figures he uses to support his claim that the lockdown is hurting more than helping are being called into question. Lorenda Redekop has the latest. There has been some confusion over how police will enforce the stay-at-home order. CBC spoke with Ottawa Police Deputy Chief Steve Bell about the force's enforcement plan. Ottawa police have charged an American man with disobeying the Quarantine Act. Police say they got a complaint after the man arrived from California on January 6th and was required to quarantine in Ottawa for 2 weeks. However, police say the man has had a visitor several times since arriving. The 62-year-old man is charged with failing to comply with entry conditions. The man's visitor was given a verbal warning. A 29-year-old man from Carleton Place is finally back home with his wife and baby daughter more than 2 months after going into the hospital with COVID-19. Khalid Al-Dali contracted COVID-19 at the end of October and spent 9 weeks at the Queensway Carleton Hospital. For half that time, he was the intensive care unit on a ventilator. At one point, doctors weren't sure he would survive. Al-Dali says he doesn't know how he got the virus. He says even though he had to go out for work, he spent the rest of his time mostly at home and took every precaution. Al-Dali says he is prone to getting pneumonia, but he has never experienced an illness like this. The City of Ottawa is opening a new physical distancing center for men next month. The center is at the Ottawa Hospital in the old Ottawa Jail. It is opening to compensate for the overcrowding in the men's shelter system. Men living in existing men's shelters will be gradually moved to the new temporary facility over the coming month. The city established its first distancing center for men last September. Starting today, some businesses in Ontario can apply for the provincial government's new small business grant. It's meant to provide up to $20,000 to those struggling with the provincial lockdown, but many worry they won't qualify. The CBC's Chris Glover has more. Climatologist Ian Black joins us now. Ian, people should be getting their shovels ready for some snow?
Oh, yeah. You're going to need shovels, and you're going to need help. There's a lot of snow coming our way.
And because of the snow, the winter weather parking ban will be in effect between Saturday at 7 p.m. and Sunday at 7 a.m. The city says the hours might be extended if more time is needed to complete winter road operations. The Hogs Bridge has finally reopened following months of renovation work. Construction is now complete, and that means Hogs Road has reopened from Colonel By to Riverside Drive. The project included the renovation of the swing bridge over the canal and the stationary bridge that spans the Hogs Falls. Just ahead, the dangers facing workers who make the PPE needed to keep people safe from COVID. We'll hear from workers who are risking their lives. People are using personal protective gear, PPE, like never before during the pandemic. But where do we get it from? A CBC Marketplace investigation reveals allegations of forced labor in the disposable glove industry overseas. The team spoke with dozens of factory workers in Malaysia and promised to protect their identities because they are afraid of losing their jobs or even risking their lives. Asha Tomlinson reports. Justin Trudeau says the federal government is willing to look at further restrictions surrounding international travel, but insists the existing ones are still effective.
So far, the measures.
The Prime Minister was asked about a ban on travel after a recent CBC investigation. It found Canadian air carriers have operated more than 1,500 flights to multiple vacation destinations since last October. The federal government has had an advisory in place urging against non-essential international travel since March 2020. Coming up, we take a final look at weather with Ian Black. Climatologist Ian Black joins us now. Looking ahead, people should get ready to bundle up more outside, hey?
Next week is a return to a week of...
That's our show for tonight. Thanks for joining us. We'll meet you back here at 6 o'clock on Monday.